Hello, I am Chance, or Venus, and this is a side hobby. I'm not going to bother with introductions because I've had to rerun this way too many times. I'm fine. But sit back, relax, get a snack, get a drink, whatever, and enjoy. You had woken up in a strange, very strange circus? You didn't really know for sure if it was a circus or not. It had a main theater and branching tents. So the main theater is a huge theater, one that you dance at and you perform, and opera happens, stuff like that. The building was large and black and white. It had gold details and it had a plaque, but it was hard to read. You didn't understand it. It was hard. So, wandering near the tents, you found security? You had found two people named Mink and Aaron. Odd names. You found out that they were security quickly because of their badges. Granted, they were also dressed up as clowns, but they were security. Mink wore a mask. She had a mask that was white with round black eyes and multiple details. Aaron's was complicated. His wasn't really a mask. It was makeup. You didn't know. But you did know one thing for sure. They were kids. You were wondering to yourself, why would they put kids in charge of keeping this place safe? So that thought quickly went out your mind, because in this place, all of your memories seemed disoriented or something, or corrupted somehow, some way. You didn't really meet the circus owner. You had heard some bits and pieces about what the circus owner is, or who he is. You didn't really know what he was. He was an odd man, from what the circus members were talking about. But you didn't eavesdrop for long, since they heard you somehow, some way. I wonder why you were walking around loudly. But you wandered over to the forested area, and you tried to go past it, and you bump into a barrier? Why is there a barrier in a circus? That's your first thought. Until you get dragged away by something. You didn't know what it was, because basically it grabbed your ankles and pushed you to the ground. It grabbed your ankles and dragged you, basically. You fell unconscious, but then you woke back up in the same circus tent you woke up in. And this time, there's also a barrier where the circus tent opens. So you're trapped. You don't know where or when this is. It appears to be almost the medieval times. But how would a theater be in the medieval times? That's one of your questions. But then that question dissipates, like everything else. It had been a few hours, and since there was food and water in the circus tent, you're basically fine. So you were just sitting on the bed, staring at a wall that kept moving. There were different pictures in the tent for whatever reason. Well, the fabric covering the tent. I'm not redoing this. And there were different pictures leaned up against the fabric covering the tent. They looked to be pictures of the circus members. You counted at least 20 that you could make out, because most of the circus members looked odd, to say the least. One of them had 4 arms. One of them had a wide smile. Another had too many eyes. One had a blindfold on. Mink and Aaron were also there. They were in the front, along with a taller man with, like, black hair. But his face wasn't visible. Like you could tell he had a face, but you couldn't make it out. So you're like, who is that? Because for some reason, the painting's eyes kept staring at you. All of their eyes kept staring directly at you. No one else, nothing else. You. You began to feel uneasy, like you were being watched too closely. Maybe it was just you hallucinating? But no, when you stood up, you felt a wave of dizziness, and then disorientation. You walked over near the photo anyway. You, bent down on your knee, and you realized you were right. The eyes were looking at you. And just you. No one else, nothing else. You. It scared you until you got dragged away again by the same unknown thing. It knocked you out as soon as your head hit the ground. This time, you woke up in the theater. You had not been in the theater. It was locked. You slowly rise from your spot and realize you've been in a circus outfit the whole time. And you're like, how? I'm not even a part of the circus. You seem to be some sort of juggler, or another clown. Granted, there were lots of clowns. A lot. But as you slowly stood up, you also realized you were in a void-like room. No walls, no doors, no windows. You were basically floating. Despite standing up, it felt like you were floating. You look up, and all you see is a void. Until you get a random flashbang, and you're in the main theater room. There's a lot of seats, there's a stage, and there's a lot of seats up on the walls and stuff like that. There are pictures and paintings, but you were curious. This circus, this theater is huge. It felt like it stretched for a while, because the main room you were in, where the stage was, it was large. Like, it could have easily sat 400, maybe 500 people at a time. Like, in the main rows, the rows that you could see. Because you were standing right in front of the stage. In fact, you were on the stage. The curtains were closed, though. And all you could hear was a faint humming. That humming was everywhere and nowhere. Your ears began to ring loudly. But as you stepped slowly away from the stage, the ringing died down for some reason. So you slowly began to run away from the stage and open the doors that led out. Instead of coming across an exit, you come across more corridors, almost, or hallways. They stretched for a while, and the same ringing could be heard in your ears coming from the right side now. So you run to the left. You run and run and run and run until you realize you're in a circle. You're in a circle. You're in a loop. Because when you were running laps, you put your hand on the wall and you ran and ran and ran. And then it came back to the door handles where it opened up into the stage area. You were in a loop. So you look around trying to find a door. And you do. So you go into the door and you're met with another hallway. But this time, it isn't a loop. It leads out. But not out where the circus area is. Just out of that loop. And then you're met with a figure. The figure had no eyes, face, mouth, nothing. Just a shadowy figure. It dissipated as soon as you collided into it, but you got a very prominent wave of dizziness. You were horrified, because that's not something you see every day, and you're still not used to this circus, however you woke up. I'm gonna end it there. And no, before the comments start saying, oh, it's amazing Digital Circus ripoff, shut up! Shh. Shh. Hush. It's not. I can assure you. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Goodbye. The bloopers will actually be posted too, because I recorded this thing too many times to not repost them. Well, post them. Goodbye.